So we wanted to have this kind of conversation. So today I want to talk to you about the top 5 startup law firms that provide free advice to entrepreneurs and new businesses. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sort of Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you're to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to talk to you about the top 5 startup law firms that provide free advice to entrepreneurs and new businesses. Now, the cool thing here is that these top 5 startup law firms are national firms. They are world-class firms that basically have a pro bono practice within the firm that caters to startups and new businesses and entrepreneurs. One thing we want to understand here is that we're trying to give you advice on how to get legal services and advice on a lean budget. One thing you have to understand is every startup, every serious business needs a lawyer, right? I'm not talking about just a lawyer who is specialized in everything. No, you want a specialized lawyer because when it comes to, let's say, matters of intellectual property, which are very critical when you're a startup, this is very important. The last thing you want is to get caught up in an IP infringement lawsuit that can actually derail your entire operations. So you have to understand that no matter, regardless of the field you're in, legal issues, traps, and pitfalls are everywhere. So how do you choose a startup law firm? I'm going to give you the 5 startup law firms I'm going to give you in today's show are actually, they offer free services over a certain period. But if you need to choose a law firm beyond that period, you got to think about a few things. There are a few criteria you need to pay attention to. First, you want to make sure that your legal counsel has experience with startups, especially in the particular niche you're in. If you're in IT, you want to make sure that your lawyer has experience in the kind of in the IT industry. So that's number one. Number two, you want to actually be clear about what your day-to-day experience will be with the lawyer. Law firms can be busy, or law firms can have what I call the seasonal troughs. In other words, there is the activity is down, so you want to have an idea of the interactions you will be having with your lawyer. You want to have an understanding of the law firm's culture. Culture is very important. The vision, the mission statements of the law firm. Do those metrics align with your startup's vision? Very important. Criterion number 4, connections to capital. You want to make sure you choose a startup lawyer who is well connected, because chances are, as a startup, you might need cash down the road. So you want to have that connection to capital. You want to think about cost and also chemistry. You want to have some kind of chemistry with your lawyer. Very important. Now let me kind of elaborate a little bit on experience, all the criteria that I just mentioned. It's very important when choosing a startup law firm to make sure the law firm has experience with startups. In other words, does the firm, for example, have a startup or emerging companies practice? How many startup clients does the lawyer and firm represent? What type of legal work does the lawyer firm do for these clients? How many startup financing has the lawyer and firm handled in the past year or two? Because you really want to evaluate acumen here, expertise here. Does the lawyer have knowledge of your company's industry, right? You want to ask for examples. Just don't take their words at it. Why is representing startups important to the firm, to the law firm you are considering? How is the firm positioned to support your company through the full life cycle? Very important, right? You have early stage growth, maturity, and I would say prolonged maturity. We're not talking about decline here. And if you encounter a problem down the road, how do you get access to specialists at the firm who can help you? How will you know who to contact? So those are basic questions that you want to go through, you want to consider as you are thinking about your the kind of startup law firm you want to hire. Again, one thing I want to make sure that you understand is that there are several areas that a startup may have, several areas of legal challenges that a startup may have. So besides intellectual property, you have to think about things like contracts, licensing, employment, compensation and benefits, regulatory tax, international litigation, and more. Okay, you want to think about the day to day. As I said earlier, you want to have an idea of who you will be contacted, who you'll be contacting, because a law firm can have tens or hundreds of lawyers, right? So you want to have a primary contact. What was the law firm culture? What are the connections to capital? Very important. You want to make sure the law firm that you are choosing has connections to angels, VC firms, so venture capitalists, corporate strategic partners. All right. For example, if the law firm has a venture capital practice, that's fantastic, right? If they have worked on many venture fund contract, that's wonderful. You want to think about cost. Does the lawyer offer any special fee arrangements to unfunded startups? What could be that fee arrangement? What services does the firm provide that are not billed to the client? What does the firm do to create efficiencies in the client relationship? Now, again, the law firms, the 5 law firms I'm going to give you right now they offer free advice to entrepreneurs and new businesses for a certain period. And this could go from 3 months to 1 year, depending upon the industry, their availability, but also the startups itself. All right. And so you want to have that in mind. All right, folks, let's just start the startup here. So number 5, we have Perkins Coie. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. So Perkins Coie is a great firm. Our score, 9/10. And this is an international law firm, and they basically have more than 1,000 attorneys. And they are great they're best for all-in-one service for startups and entrepreneurs. They have a global presence. They're kind of pricey though. And they have their billing patterns are flexible. They do offer pro bono service, and that's available on a limited basis. To actually have the free advice, you have to contact their pro bono department and speak to the managing partner of that pro bono department, and they will actually they'll tell you what the process is, and they'll tell you if they can take on your startups. One thing I want to say here is that the Perkins is a great firm because they have a constellation of practices that runs the gamut from bankruptcy and restructuring all the way through capital markets, corporate and securities, financial transactions, mergers and acquisitions, private equity, public companies, tax law, technology transactions, and privacy law, all the way to patent litigation, patent appeals, and ITC litigation. What I want to say here is that because the company is so strong in terms of IP, they might be the best law firm for you again. And what are the industries? They cover a lot of industries too, from autonomous vehicle, the AVs, to clean technology, energy law, forest products, cannabis law, food and beverage, food litigation, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics, AR, augmented reality, virtual reality, and mixed reality, Internet of Things, internet e-commerce, and semiconductor. As you can see, again, you have a full-fledged law firms that could help you. Now, they do have the pro bono and community, so they have a pro bono and community service department, as I said earlier, and their commitment to pro bono representation and community service activities is demonstrated year after year through local, national, and international efforts aimed at making a meaningful, lasting difference to the underrepresented and underserved. That's what they say on their website. In terms of their pro bono representation, according to their website, annually they actually dedicate about 50,000 hours of pro bono legal work. So that's really fantastic. That's really, really great. So this is something that you want to consider this company for sure. Number 4, we have here, folks, Auric, Harrington, and Sutcliffe. Great company. Our score, 9/10. Now, when it comes to Auric, again, you have a world-class law firm, more than 1,000 attorneys, available globally. And this law firm is best for all-in-one service for startup and entrepreneurs. They are kind of pricey too. They have flexible billing, and they have pro bono service available on a limited basis. The one thing we love with Auric, Harrington, and Sutcliffe is that they basically have over the years. Here is a law firm that has adapted to the changing realities of global commerce, and they have done an incredible job at revamping their IP, their patent, their antitrust and competition practices, and they've also done a lot of work in terms of fintech and insurtech. So insurtech standing for insurance technology, and fintech standing for financial technology, right? So what we love with Auric is that they're able to help your startup, and they have more available hours, more pro bono available hours. Actually, their pro bono available hours are about 75,000 a year, depending on availability, on the industry. And so you have to contact them. You have to contact them, and you have to speak to the managing partner of the pro bono department. One thing that Auric has been focusing on lately, and this could be of interest to you if you have a startup in those fields, they have been working on 5 focus areas, and they call it focus areas. So you have technology, energy and infrastructure. You have finance. They have been focusing on litigation and IP. And they have actually emphasized a lot in their business model in the last 5 to 10 years the area of transactions. And here I'm not referring to only transactions at a global level. They also do a lot of transactions within the states. So if your startup or your emerging business or your growing business has some kind of affiliation with those 5 focus areas, I would say give them a call. And again, make sure that you want to talk to the managing partner of the pro bono service. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Studio Kiwi Show. I hope you are doing fantastic. We're having a wonderful conversation about the top 5 startup law firms that provide free advice to entrepreneurs and new businesses. These law firms are world-class law firms that have incredibly talented lawyers who are generous enough to dedicate or to commit some of their time to doing pro bono work. So that's fantastic. Number 3, we have Gunderson Detmer. Our score, 9.5 over 10. And they have nearly 300 lawyers across 9 worldwide locations. And this law firm is best for startup support in 12 countries, counsel for entrepreneurs, VC counsel, so venture capital counsel, IP litigation, 9 locations. So you have including 2 international, so you have China and Singapore. Their pricing is flexible, and they do have pro bono service available. And this is a company that has been focusing they have 3 focus areas. So they have venture capital and growth equity, entrepreneurs and emerging companies, maturing and public companies. And one thing we really love, the locations that it's good to know the locations where they operate from. So they have Silicon Valley, Ann Arbor, Beijing, Boston, Los Angeles, New York, San Diego, San Francisco, and Singapore. All right. So if you are in Frisco, if you are in San Diego, if you're in New York, if your startup is in those locations, it might help. But you don't have to be located in those cities. You can be anywhere in the country and still contact them. One thing I want to say here is that Gunderson Detmer has said very clearly, publicly, and on their website that they have been focusing on the core advisory and legal needs of venture and growth technology and life science clients. I would say that focus accounts for about 60% of their practice, and the other 40% is more the broader market. So when a client requires advice outside of Gunderson Detmer's expertise, they work with the client to find professionals that are best suited to the client's needs. And this is what they've been saying, and they've been doing that. If you look at the reviews they have received from clients and the professional reviews that we were able to read on the internet. Number two, folks, we have Fenwick and West. Our score, 9.5 over 10. Another great law firm, world class, talented lawyers. They have more than 350 lawyers on board, and this is best for startup support in multiple industries, venture capital counsel, IP litigation. They have a global network including India, China, and Israel. This is kind of cool to know, especially if your startup is located in or working with those countries. Their pricing is flexible. They do have pro bono service available. They also have a service that we love a lot. It's called Flex by Fenwick. And this is a service whereby they offer you flexible and cost-effective solutions for day-to-day legal needs. In other words, if you are a startup and you don't have a deep pocket as a Fortune 500 company, Flex by Fenwick allows you to actually have some kind of to outsource your legal needs, to outsource your legal compliance and all the regulatory work to a world-class client, a world-class law firm rather, and you are actually paying them on some kind of subscription basis, all right? And in terms of practice, they have a trifecta where they're really, really strong. They do litigation, intellectual property, and tax. And for intellectual property, for litigation, they cover everything from commercial litigation to consumer class action litigation, securities litigation, and copyright litigation, trademark, trade secret, patent, appellate. They have antitrust and trade regulation, employment practices, securities enforcement, and white collar and regulatory defense. And it's kind of cool to know because as a startup, they are actually covering you. They're covering all the stages of your growth, whether you are in early stage or in the maturity or in the growth phase, or you're ready to scale. All right. In terms of intellectual property, they cover copyright, patent, privacy, and cybersecurity, technology transactions, trademark, open source, payment systems, post-grant proceedings, and trade secrets. Fantastic. All right. And for taxes, they cover tax and tax litigation. One thing I want to say here is that the Flex by Fenwick, this is kind of cool because this is the only service created by an AmLaw 100 firm that provides flexible and cost-effective solutions for interim in-house legal needs to high-growth companies. And Flex provides experienced in-house attorneys who can run the company legal work, including supporting sales and business development teams to negotiate and close commercial transactions, provide in-house support for larger matters such as IPO prep and M&A transactions, reviewing processes, policies, and form agreements, and working on other special projects, for example, new product launches. They actually can add in-house legal support either before hiring, during short-term workload spikes, for example, at the end of the quarter, or to cover sabbaticals, family or medical leaves. So flex plans are available at various commitment levels to match the legal workload and work all plans that you need. So something to think about. Number one, folks, when it comes to the best law firm in our view, the best startup law firm that provides free advice to entrepreneurs and new businesses, we have Wilson Sonsini. Great firm, folks, great firm. Basically, we have given this firm 10 over 10. They have nearly 1,000 lawyers, great lawyers, talented lawyers. Wilson Sonsini, and this law firm is best for startup support in multiple industries. They have a global presence. Their pricing is flexible, and they have a pro bono service available. And in terms of the practice areas, they actually cover four. Okay, so you have corporate, IP. So for IP, you're referring to things like patents and innovations, post-grant review, technology transactions, trademark, and copyright. Now, post-grant review, it's kind of critical, folks, because if you are a startup and you are going to rely on federal grants or private grants for that matter, or state grants, you want to have a solid law firm behind you that will be able to advise you. They'll be able to advise you along the way. They also focus on litigation, so everything from arbitration to employment litigation, patent litigation, trade secret litigation, trademark and copyright litigation, trial and white collar crime. They also have expertise in regulatory, so everything from antitrust and competition to export control and sanctions, FCPA and anti-corruption, Federal Trade Commission, national security, privacy, and cybersecurity. In terms of industries, they cover the whole gamut. All right. So from aviation all the way to mobility, mobile devices, internet, fintech, energy, electronic gaming, digital health, software, everything. They cover everything. And this is kind of important to know that one thing we love with Wilson Sonsini is that they have a unique brand. This is a company that has a solid footing in Silicon Valley's technology ecosystem, but they also have they actually cover the whole world. They have strategic positions and offices in multiple locations worldwide, strategic locations from London to Singapore to Beijing to Berlin, you name it. And what we love here is we also love the fact that with Wilson Sonsini, you kind of have a sense of family here. They will allocate a lawyer to you or a group of lawyers to you, and they will also help you. Now, one thing I want to say here is that you want to contact them ASAP because this is a firm that has about 100,000 hours of pro bono services every year. But those hours are taken very, very quickly because, again, the firm is a great firm. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. All right, folks, this was it for today's conversation. I was talking to you about the top 5 startup law firms that provide free advice to entrepreneurs and new businesses. So number 1, Wilson Sonsini, 10 over 10. Number 2, we have Fenwick and West, 9.5 over 10. Number 3, we have Gunderson Detmer, 9.5 over 10. Number 4, we have Auric, Harrington, and Sutcliffe, 9 over 10. And number 5, we have Perkins Coie, 9 over 10. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. I will see you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.